Fellow gardeners, what I'm about to share with you might challenge everything you've been taught about growing food. For decades, we've been conditioned to believe that breaking up soil with tillers and spades is essential for a productive garden. But after dedicating an entire year to cultivating without disturbing a single square inch of earth, I've discovered something revolutionary that will transform how you think about gardening forever. When I first decided to abandon my trusty rototiller, my neighbors thought I'd lost my mind. The contrast between my conventional plot next door and my experimental no-till area was stark and frankly a bit embarrassing at first. While one side showed the familiar sight of perfectly straight rows in dark-churned earth, my no-till section looked like organized chaos with its thick layers of organic matter and seemingly wild appearance. The decision to embrace no-till gardening wasn't born from trendy permaculture magazines or YouTube algorithms. It came from pure frustration with the endless cycle of soil degradation I was witnessing in my own backyard. Every spring, I'd fire up that machine, breaking apart the delicate soil structure that had slowly formed over winter. What I didn't realize then was that each pass of the tiller was destroying the intricate network of fungal hyphae, compacting the soil beneath the cultivation layer, and creating the perfect conditions for erosion and water runoff. My conventional gardening approach had trapped me in a vicious cycle. The more I tilled, the more compacted my soil became underneath. The more I disturbed the surface, the more weeds germinated from buried seeds. The more I broke up the soil aggregates, the less water my garden could retain during dry spells. I was working harder each year while my soil health steadily declined, requiring ever more inputs of fertilizers and amendments just to maintain mediocre results. The breaking point came during a particularly heavy spring rain when I watched precious topsoil wash away from my freshly tilled beds, carrying with it the expensive compost and fertilizers I'd just incorporated. That muddy water running off my garden represented years of investment literally flowing down the drain, and honestly, I knew there had to be a better way. The early months of my no-till experiment tested every ounce of my gardening patience. Where my tilled beds showed rapid germination and quick early growth, my covered beds seemed to move at a glacial pace. Seeds planted in the no-till area took noticeably longer to emerge, and when they did, they appeared smaller and less vigorous than their tilled counterparts. There were moments when I questioned my sanity and reached for the shovel, convinced I was sabotaging my entire growing season. The foundation of my no-till approach centered on the layering technique that would become my gardening Bible. I started by laying cardboard directly over the existing grass and weeds, creating a biodegradable barrier that would suppress unwanted growth while slowly decomposing to feed soil organisms. Over this base I spread about 4 inches of quality compost, followed by another 4 inches of diverse organic mulch, including straw, aged wood chips, and shredded leaves. This lasagna-style layering felt, pretty counterintuitive after years of aggressive soil preparation, but I trusted the process. The cardboard acted as a slow-release soil amendment while preventing light from reaching dormant weed seeds. The compost provided immediate nutrition for plants while feeding beneficial microorganisms, and the mulch layer moderated soil temperature, retained moisture, and continued breaking down to add organic matter throughout the growing season. What surprised me most during those first few months wasn't the slower start, but honestly how quickly the soil began responding to this gentler approach. Even before my plants hit their stride, I noticed the soil beneath the mulch staying consistently moist, even during week-long dry spells. The earthworms, which had been pretty scarce in my tilled beds, began appearing in impressive numbers, creating natural aeration channels and depositing nutrient-rich castings throughout the root zone. By midsummer, the transformation was undeniable. Lifting the mulch revealed dark, crumbly soil with a sweet, earthy aroma that, reminded me of forest floors from my childhood. The contrast with my tilled beds was striking, where the conventional side showed pale, compacted earth that formed a crust after each watering. The no-till area maintained a loose, coffee ground texture that absorbed water like a sponge. The real magic happened below ground. in this intricate network of relationships I'd never bothered to consider during my tilling days. White fungal threads began appearing throughout the soil, connecting plant roots in a communication network that shared nutrients, water, and even chemical signals about pest threats. These mycorrhizal partnerships, which tillage had been destroying for years, were finally establishing themselves and creating, well, a living soil ecosystem. The plants themselves really told the story of this underground transformation through their remarkable resilience and productivity. Tomato plants that had struggled with early blight in previous years sailed through humid summer weather with just pristine foliage. Bean plants produced pods continuously rather than in the typical boom-bust cycle I'd experienced with conventional cultivation. Even my notoriously finicky lettuce maintained quality and sweetness well into the summer heat, something I'd never achieved, despite years of trying different varieties and planting schedules. Perhaps most surprising was the dramatic reduction in pest pressure. Aphids, which had plagued my garden for years, appeared briefly but were quickly controlled by beneficial insects that seemed to, materialize from nowhere. Cucumber beetles, the bane of my squash family crops, barely registered as a problem. The thriving soil ecosystem was supporting a diverse population of beneficial organisms that maintained natural pest control without any intervention from me. As harvest season reached its peak, the differences between my gardening approaches became, well, impossible to ignore. The no-till beds were producing nearly double the yield per square foot compared to my conventional plots, and honestly, the quality was just exceptional. Carrots pulled from the no-till soil came up easily with perfect straight roots, while those from tilled beds were often stunted or forked from hitting the compacted hardpan layer below. The financial benefits exceeded my wildest expectations. My fertilizer budget dropped to nearly zero as the soil biology took over nutrient cycling responsibilities. Water usage decreased by approximately 40% due to improved moisture retention from the organic matter and fungal networks. The money I'd previously spent on tillage equipment maintenance, fuel, and annual soil amendments stayed in my pocket while my garden productivity soared. Time savings proved equally impressive. Morning walks through the garden revealed minimal weeding needs, as the thick mulch layer and healthy soil suppressed most unwanted plants. The few weeds that did emerge pulled easily from the soft, living soil. Watering became less frequent but more effective, as the improved soil structure held moisture in the root zone rather than running off or evaporating from the surface. The taste difference in my harvest was perhaps the most rewarding aspect of the entire experiment. Tomatoes developed complex, rich flavors that reminded me why I'd started gardening in the first place. Leafy greens maintained their crispness and sweetness longer after harvest. Root vegetables developed the kind of intense, earthy flavors that no store-bought produce could match, speaking to the mineral-rich environment their roots had explored in the undisturbed soil. This year-long journey transformed more than just my garden productivity. It fundamentally changed my relationship with the land I tend. Instead of viewing soil as an inert growing medium that needed constant manipulation and inputs, I began understanding it as a living ecosystem that thrives on diversity, patience, and minimal disturbance. The morning ritual of checking on my plants became a meditation on the incredible complexity of natural systems and my role as a steward rather than a conqueror. The environmental implications of this approach extend far beyond my backyard fence. The no-till beds are actively sequestering carbon in the soil organic matter, contributing to climate change mitigation rather than releasing stored carbon through tillage. Water runoff has virtually disappeared, preventing soil erosion and protecting local waterways from agricultural pollution. The increased biodiversity in my garden supports beneficial insects, birds, and soil organisms that contribute to ecosystem health throughout my neighborhood. Starting your own no-till journey doesn't require waiting for next spring or purchasing expensive equipment. You can begin transitioning any section of your garden right now, even in July, by simply laying cardboard over grass or weeds and covering it with compost and mulch. Plant through holes cut in the cardboard and let the magic of soil biology take over. The investment in quality organic matter will pay dividends for years to come, and you'll be amazed at how quickly the soil responds to this gentler approach. The path forward is clear. We can grow more food with less work while healing the earth beneath our feet. This isn't just a gardening technique, it's a partnership with nature that benefits everyone involved. Ready to transform your own garden and join the soil regeneration movement? Subscribe to the Living Soil Lab for more revolutionary gardening insights, and share this guide with fellow gardeners who are ready to embrace a better way of growing food. Together we're cultivating a more sustainable future, one undisturbed garden bed at a time.